at this. That looks like a Henry. Ah, it's a Henry, 2 Henry sticks, at least one anyways. I think top of it's over there. Let's pull that out. So what's wrong with that one? Well, one has the lot. Oh, it's dusty. So we're home again and we're back on the bench. Let's have a look at this one. It is HVR 200-12. Let's plug it in. Ow, caught myself. Let's plug it in and see if we're getting any action out of it. It's off at the moment. There's a live plug. What do you think? Put it to low. Dust sometimes comes out. Not a happy motor. So that makes sense then if it's thrown out because the motor is bad. You know, I can't really fault that. It suits me just fine because it's got some other good bits in it. It had a whole pole, a whole stick, and it had part of another stick, which is cool. It had the hose, tapering hose, and it had a brush head, and then I found another brush head. So what I thought originally was the problem was that this was covered in dust. So I picked that out into the bin. I don't know if I showed that on camera. But then in here, it also has, I don't know, a label off something. It's pretty dirty, but you know, that would clean up. This is an original Henry. This thing here, I don't know actually. I was going to say, this thing clips into the back. Sometimes they have a slot here, but this one doesn't. So it just has to ride beside it. This one was nearby. It's clearly full of fluff. Get my bin out. That's a bit grim, this. Cigarette ends. Yeah, again, a folded piece of paper, you know, and if you think it can take that, good luck, but it can't, clearly. It's hair. This looks like the cleaning effects of the first time in a whole year in a student house, because we're still dealing with that round this way. Student houses moving out, but that's it working again now. If that was your problem, it's clear now. So let's have a look at this motor. I'm gonna have to get into it, I think. It's unplugged. I need to take out all 7 screws, and they are Torx, and that'll be T20 maybe. Let's try T20. I'll take them out and come back. So 7 loose screws. Now it could be that this was run without a filter, because I didn't find a filter with it, and I did go back to check that it wasn't in the bin, because a filter is worth, I don't know, 12 quid or something, and you can just put them in the washing machine. So we know that a few things are right with it. The switches, the cable, the high-low, all of that stuff seems to work just fine. It's a bit dusty, but that's not a big issue. It is for my hay fever, I guess. In fact, I might vacuum that now shortly. Put that aside and lift this up. No, it doesn't want to come off. Right, pull it off. It's a bit stuck. In fact, I'm gonna. There's a bit of curly whirly of plastic in there. That must be a factory part. So all of this dust around here suggests that it didn't have a filter on it. It might have been run with a bag and no filter or some combination, but because the box looks pretty clean, so I'd say it was a bag with no filter. But yeah, the small dust has gone through then into the motor and probably choked it up. Okay, let's crack into it. I might need to, it's a bit sticky here. I might need to turn on the, have I got all the screws out? Yeah. Turn on the vacuum cleaner again to get the inside of this clean. There we go. We're up. Oh dear me, yes. And no, that's terrible. Oh dear, look at that. Yikes, look at this. Oh man, I don't even need to put in the vacuum cleaner. That's a bad sign, that is. Yeah, no wonder it's a bit sad and sorry for itself. Other Henry. There's a few things going for this Henry. The first being that it, let's put a little mark on that. So there's a few things going for this Henry. First is that it was working. I turned it on, I've seen it going, heard it going. Second, is that it's nice and clean now. But I need to get this cowling off. I think the fact that the motor was able to turn at all suggests that it's salvageable. The brushes, the commutator ring looks a bit dark, but you know, the fact that it was working and not kind of sputtering, well, I didn't hear it anyways. So let's break this off. I have to bend these tabs back. So I'm using one of my older screwdrivers. Bend that back. There should be another one bent. Yeah, there it is. We have to try and tap this off somehow. This is the tricky bit. So you end up destroying the plastic around it, but it can be tricky. Let's do it on the bent ones. That way. So I'm holding the screwdriver, holding the motor in one hand on the bench, screwdriver in the other. It smells a bit, this thing. A bit like, that's it, it's coming off okay. When these motors are rusty, the rust sets the steel cowling onto the plastic and it's very hard to remove, but this one's coming off okay. With it up a bit, might be possible to wiggle it off. But you see, it damages the plastic as you do it. You've got to kind of work it around. I'm getting there though. Ooh, that could have been nasty. Felt it on my finger, but it just glanced past it. There we go. Not far off now. In fact, this has been one of the easier ones to open. Still a bit stiff. It's got crumbs there. Yeah, there's no, that's not going to suck anything, but I don't actually know if I need to go any further here. Unless there's, that's not sitting, this plastic piece here is meant to sit tight down there, so I'm going to get that nut off. I think it's threaded the wrong way, right hand thread, left hand thread. Let's wrap it in a piece of cloth. Because this little unit here, this black piece is pretty sharp. That's it off. And there's a couple of washers in here we have to remember. So that washer behind has a kind of a curve on it, a flange or something on it. Ah yeah, look, loose screws here, so we did need to go in, right? There's another washer in here I don't want to lose. A big one if I could get it out. Yeah, so it hadn't been on fire. That was really meant to be my second point. I gave some other bit of fluff because I didn't know. I was like, oh, that fluff's out now. And the jets aren't so bad then. Actually, those little snails, they're not too bad. It's just that fluff there. That should never have gotten into the motor in the first place. So it's a bit kind of wonderful that we got it out. These screws here shouldn't be loose. But that wouldn't help the motor bearings and everything else with vibrations and whatnot. But we can take them out and clean it up now. Yeah, there's fluff caught down there. 4 screws, put them over here. Let's vacuum this, and then what I'll do is I'll maybe blow it out with an air line as well. I don't really want to take it apart. I have to take it apart. There's too much fluff caught in behind. So I take off the brushes first, and they snap down and in to a kind of a connection here. Yeah, so it didn't go on fire. The thermal trip didn't trip. The motor is effectively still working as a motor, but not as a vacuum. The vacuum bit of it's dead. If the bearings are pooched, I'm going to leave them because I haven't got the right kind of bearings for this. I tried to fix another Henry recently. I spent an hour at it or so, put new bearings on it, and they weren't right. They were too loose. They're skate bearings, cheapest ones I could get. Now in here I have to jack this fellow up, just like getting the wires off. That's it. There's plenty of brush left on that brush, carbon left on it. What can happen sometimes is these little brass fellows jump up and the wire, they pinch onto a wire beneath, and if they jump up then you have to sort the wire out as well. There we go, number 2. This should pull out the rotor. No, it doesn't want to come. There's 2 screws here, one on each side. I don't know about washing machine repair folk, but I don't believe any of them would ever get into this level of detail in a vacuum cleaner. So, what am I stuck on? I'm watching the shaft on the end here, it is dropping down. The rotor out. There's a spring washer on the end of it, and then this guy should fall out as well. I'll deal with that in a minute. This bearing here feels fine, it's got fluff on it, so that's good. That's good sign. How to press this guy out without doing damage. There it is. All right, so it's not so bad. Get the vacuum again. This is the bit I always wonder about. Can I remember how to put it back together? So these fellows go, I should have made another mark. These fellows go on this end. Which way? Don't know. Does it matter? I don't think so. I think they'll only go one way. The screw cutouts where the screws were resting are on the here and here, so it's got to be this way around or the other way around. So am I getting stuck on anything? I don't see anything to get stuck on. There's little slots it has to slide into. The thermal sensor is getting stuck there. How would that be? We're not in. Are we in? I think we are in, actually. I think that's that. Right. Okay, this motor should come next. That commutator is pretty rough. I could give it a quick sand. I'll give it a clean. Just give it a clean. It's not a new motor. I'm giving it a bit of a wipe down. It's as good as it's going to get. Oh, spring washer. This is the bit you need to remember. Drop that in there. Put this guy in like this. Then this one goes on, holds the motor in position. And I think that the fact that that was loose means the motor wasn't getting held on correctly. Can't be good for it. There we go. So which ones were holding the motor on then? These ones, I think, slightly. Then this guy goes on, I think. And this one. And this one. And this is the backwards nut. You gotta watch your fingers on all this, because this black thing here is very sharp around the edges. Very sharp. And that goes there. Put that in reverse, put a cloth around it. I'm just going to give it a couple of clicks, because they're tricky to get off if you get them stuck the wrong way. Now let's get the brushes back on. So slide them in and then try and get this fellow on top of that brass. One like that. That's it on, and do the other side. And then we put the screws in. It isn't often easy to do these Henry motors. They get so much abuse that by the time they actually fail, they're really just knackered. So this one's kind of failed on suction probably, because I can't see how it was sucking anything at this rate. Check this. It's a lot better. The fact that it's like turning freely and whatnot. So let's line that up. This has to press in. Pretty good actually. They don't usually come apart so easily. Stove in the two that were stoved in already. Just like that. That holds it closed. That holds it closed. There we go. Ready? Let's go for it. Is it like this with that there? And this one like this. I can't remember which way that went. Now this one goes one of two ways. This one goes this way. So the fellow that sits on top has to sit. This is where it gets simple and tricky. It has to sit. Oh God, right. In fact, I wonder, is it easier to build it up the other way? Let's put that in like that. Figure out which brushes are going where. That one's the one marked black, so that one goes on there. This one is marked, not marked. Goes like that. That sits in there. Great. We've got these little slots for the wires in here that they have to press into. Like that. Now, this guy needs its filter. Where did I put that? There it is. Goes in like that. Split there. That just lines up. Rubber sits on top. That's better. It's better doing it that way. Oh dear, where did that dust come from? How do we feel? Are we feeling good? Feeling optimistic, maybe? I'll put it back together. It's just screws and the top goes on and more screws. Back together, no filter, power's on, set it to low. I've no filter, I've just put it up to see if it works, and we maybe can hear it, and it might echo a bit louder with no filter. Put it on. I'm not sure about this. It definitely sounds better than it did. It doesn't say much, but it sounds better than it did. It doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound like it's going full steam ahead. What wattage motor? It's only a 620 watt motor, so maybe I'm comparing it to more modern, or to the older ones that have the 1000 watt, 1200 watt motors. I can't tell if it smells a little bit like burning. So I don't know what to do with this. I might write a note on it saying motor suspect and put it in stores. I'm hoping that I'll find a deal on Henry Motors somewhere. And if you know of a place to get them cheap, people say they're cheap, but they're not. They're like 30 quid each, and or some other price that's more than 10. If they were 10 delivered, I'd buy a box of them, but because I could use about 2 of them at the moment. Anyways, that's where I'm up to with this. I thought it would be good. It works. It's sucking fine. It sucks absolutely fine. I might use it as a workshop vac, in fact. That would probably make a better use of it, because then it's actually getting used. Swap out the Henry that I have, which is a real old Henry. Use this one for a while. You let me know. Questions or comments down there, please. Thanks for watching. See you later.